What's up? What's up? What's up? I I want to give a shout out to Say So TV because you've been talking about this for a long time, and I want to talk about representation when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, gay queer community, and more so when it comes to the Black LGBTQ plus gay queer community. Representation definitely matters to a certain extent. People need to be able to see people that look like them, that live like them, that they can relate to in a healthy, positive light. I feel like a lot of times when you're a part of a marginalized community, your marginalized identity is either completely left out of the equation, so you don't really see people who are like you, look like you, live like you, have the similarities to you. So when you're looking at television, you're looking at magazines, books, journals, articles, research, people in different jobs and fields of study and different employment, you don't see yourself, you're not really going to feel like you're welcomed or that you even exist. Or they show people from your identity, your marginalized identity, what have you, but it's very one-dimensional. So like they're only showing you a portion of what people from your community are like, and oftentimes it's in a negative light, or they're only showing that one particular dimension, which would then create the stereotype or assumption that everybody from that particular community or everybody with that particular marginalized identity, that's how they all act, or that's how they're all living, or that's all they do. And I want to preference with saying, you know me, I'm gonna keep it a buck. There's nothing wrong with people wanting hookups and participating in hookup culture. There's nothing wrong with people who want to party and get lit. I just hope that you use whatever substance that you choose to partake in responsibly, and you're not using it in chaotic use to the point that it's causing mental and physical damage, as well as financial damage, and potentially hurting other people, right? If it's in a safe, controlled environment and you're able to balance, cool, do you. But oftentimes when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community or the queer community, and then, like I said, in particular to the Black LGBTQ plus community, queer community, they only show one dimension of us. And that dimension is everybody's having sex. Everyone's doing hookup culture. Everybody's sleeping around. Everybody has some type of STI, STD. Everybody's on the DL. Everybody, like, you're only seeing certain dimensions, certain roles, and that's it. And again, I'm not saying this to vilify people that are on the DL or partying, getting lit, going to sex parties, participating in hookup culture. I'm not saying this to put anybody down. Do what you do. Hopefully it's in a safe, controlled, respectful, for you, safe environment, right? However, there are also people in the community that want long-lasting, healthy, romantic partnerships and relationships. There are people who want to get married. There are people who want to have children and start families. And oftentimes we don't see that. And because we don't see that historically, presently, you're basically giving off the assumption that none of us are doing that, and you're also giving off the assumption that it's not possible for us to do that. And it's sad because there are people out here who are getting in loving, healthy relationships. Everybody's not stuck in situationships. Everybody's not stuck in talking stages that are going nowhere. Everyone's not in a toxic relationship with little to no growth. There are actually people out here that are working on themselves, going to therapy and counseling, building with another person or other people in their community, in their relationship. Starting families, having children, in careers, starting businesses. Everybody is not doing the same thing, is my whole point. And instead of us having a diverse representation and true inclusion, we don't have that. And it's, and to me, it's done on purpose. Because like I said, anything that is deemed negative, or deemed stereotypical, that's all they're going to push. Pay attention to that. They're not going to show you healthy Black LGBTQ plus couples. They're not going to show you people who are, working on their mental health, working on their physical health, really healing from trauma. They're not going to show you that. They're just going to make it seem like everybody is on the Zeus network having fights, bad boy clubs, everybody's lying, everybody's on drugs, everybody's just alcoholism and sex parties. And that's all you're going to see. And again, I'm not vilifying it, but I'm saying that's not the true, that is not the only representation of our community. And I'm saying is, and I'm gonna make their picture will likely be the cover of this video for the thumbnail. And I'm giving a huge shout out to Say So TV, because Say So TV has been talking about this for quite some time. If you've been looking at, I've been following Say So TV YouTube channel basically since February of 2022. So I'm 2 years in, you feel me? But for real, he's been saying this for a while. And also, it's nothing wrong with us recognizing that some of us want more than hookups. I think, again, there's nothing wrong with hookup culture because, like I said, I've definitely participated in it. You know what I'm saying? I've had my little sneaky links, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm some holier than thou person because I'm far from that. I'm not perfect. I'm not one of these, I don't do that, or acting like I'm better because I no longer participate. No, that's not what I'm doing. But what I'm saying is I've definitely grown from that. I'm no longer interested in just hookup culture and sleeping around with people, and I'm also not interested in being in situationships. I'm not interested in these long drawn out talking stages because people are afraid of commitment, and people are also afraid of truly healing and working on themselves, because I feel like a lot of us stay in this I'm afraid to commit, and then constantly using our childhood trauma as a justification for why, which, don't get me wrong, yes, mental health, childhood trauma, adverse childhood experiences definitely impact us as people, as in our lives. And yet, I personally do not want to continue using my childhood trauma as a justification for never moving forward in my life. And I also don't want my childhood trauma to keep me in a cycle of toxic relationships and settling for less than, because, you know what I'm saying? And it's again, we get to a certain age where, in my opinion, it's childish, it's mediocre, and it's literally holding us back from reaching our true potential in many cases. Because it's you can't even move forward because you're stuck in that mindset of when you were traumatized. And a lot of times, if you were, for me, for example, trigger warning, sexual abuse, sexual assault, molestation. I was 8 years old when I was molested for an entire year by a family friend, next door neighbor. And a lot of times I find myself resorting back to that 8-year-old because it's like you're stuck. Like you're permanently stuck there. And you're coming up with all of these defense mechanisms to protect yourself. But ultimately, you're not really protecting yourself. You're just creating a bunch of walls. And now you're viewing everybody in this very negative light. And don't get me wrong, you do have to pay attention to red flags. You do need to start leaving when you see red flags instead of trying to unpack it and seeing where it's going to go. Because time and time again, we learn that it's not going anywhere. And you end up in a cycle of the same ish. And then you're telling yourself, well, I've been telling myself, oh, well, I'm not worthy of this. I'm not worthy of a romantic relationship. I'm not worthy of a romantic partnership. I'm not worthy of having my needs met. I'm not worthy of having standards. I'm not worthy of somebody actually wanting to be with me and it being mutually. And a lot of that is based off of my childhood trauma. It's also based off of other, like, trigger warning, other very much sexual assaults that took place throughout my life. And it's really sad how common that is, but that's not the point of this video necessarily. But the point is, there's nothing wrong with people wanting to settle down. There's nothing wrong with people wanting to get married, have children, start a family, or build with somebody, wanting a significant other, wanting a healthy romantic relationship, and very heavy on the healthy. Because another problem that I feel like so many of us, including myself, deal with is we stay in toxic situations because that's all we know. Like, seriously, a lot of us wouldn't know a healthy relationship if it slapped us in the face, because we literally grew up in households that were dysfunctional, where everybody's screaming, hollering, fussing, fighting, being cheated on, not having their needs met, no healthy communication, just chaotic and dysfunctional. And unfortunately, if you don't take the time to really pinpoint what's going on and work towards healing, you're going to likely stay in that cycle. And next thing you know, you're a whole adult reliving what your mom and dad or parents or family went through, literally doing the exact same stuff that they were dealing with, and then wondering why, your needs are never being met. And then you're in a situation that is draining and toxic. And you stay in it with the hopes that maybe this is going to change. Maybe we're going to move forward. But I'm here to tell you, I don't really, in my opinion and experience, very rarely do these toxic setups actually improve. Unless the people involved want to truly be with each other and truly work on themselves and work with each other, it doesn't really change. It just kind of keeps getting kicked down the road. And next thing you know, you've basically spent months, years going back and forth, breaking up, making up. And it's like, you could have both left each other alone so y'all can both go your separate ways and focus on yourself and your healing. And then too, when you're so caught up in it, you are denying yourself opportunities to actually meet the person that you should be with in the first place. I'm just gonna call a thing a thing. We really be holding on. And a lot of us feel, I'm guilty of this. A lot of us feel like we're not worthy. And that's arguably why a lot of us hold on, because we don't really think that we can be with anybody or anybody's gonna wanna be with us. And that's sad, because there are people out here who want to be with you, who want what you want. But I'll also acknowledge you definitely have to have patience, because, child, gotta have patience. And you also have to recognize your own problems, your own red flags. Because, I'm not perfect. I have a lot of issues that I need to correct and still continue to heal from and work on. And at the same time, I can't keep coming up with excuses. You know what I'm saying? over and over and over again, trying to justify my toxic behavior. I'm 31. You know what I'm saying? It gets to a point where you're too old to still be playing victim to circumstances that you're putting yourself in. And then always, and notice, and this is my thing, and I say this to myself, because like I said, I'm including me, okay? Don't you think it's odd how you're having the same problem over and over again, and you're always saying it's it's them, but literally everybody that has dealt with you and everyone that you have dealt with, it always ends up being the same result? You're the common denominator. There's a reason why this keeps happening, and people need to examine, we, including myself, need to examine what we're doing and how we're showing up, and what are we saying? What is our behaviors? What is our thought process? What are our actions? Because again, it's not always the other person. Or if it is the other person, you also are a part of the problem. It isn't just them. And that's basically where I'm getting at. But anyways, that's a whole nother video. But the point is, there's nothing wrong with us wanting more or wanting something different than what has been presented to us. That's basically what I was trying to get to, and then went off on a tangent. ADHD vibes. Anyways, I'm gonna finish what I'm doing here and head on home.